and to also thank them for the hard work they do.
Vice President Kamala Harris launching a campaign blitz of western states with a visit to Arizona's southern border. Happy Friday. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Frank Malakote. Today's meeting with Border Patrol agents in Douglas, Arizona, marking the Vice President's first visit to our southern border since becoming the Democratic presidential nominee. After those meetings, she spoke to a crowd for about 25 minutes. She pushed for the revival of bipartisan bill designed to address issues at our border. Democrats say Republicans killed it at the request of former President Trump. The vice president talked about her experience fighting drugs and transnational gangs as Attorney General in California. She said asylum seekers must request asylum at ports of entry or be barred from entry for 5 years. She also said there must be a more streamlined path to citizenship for those that are already here.
The United States is a sovereign nation, and I believe we have a duty to set rules at our border and to enforce them. And I take that responsibility very seriously. We are also a nation of immigrants. The United States has been enriched by generations of people who have come from every corner of the world to contribute to our country and to become part of the American story. And so we must reform our immigration system to ensure that it works in an orderly way, that it is humane, and that it makes our country stronger.
The vice president on her way to California later tonight. She's scheduled to arrive in San Francisco around 9 o'clock. She's expected to attend fundraisers in San Francisco and LA tomorrow. She has a rally planned for Las Vegas on Sunday. Today, former President Trump criticized the vice president's trip to the border. He also reiterated how he would address immigration issues.
We will close the border. We will stop the invasion. We will begin the largest deportation operation in American history, and we have no choice but to that. Have no choice.
He made those comments this afternoon during a speech in the battleground state of Michigan. And earlier today, he met with Ukrainian President Zelensky. The Republican presidential nominee has been very critical of the United States' continued support and aid for Ukraine, and its war against Russia drags on. But today he said he and the Ukrainian leader can work together along with Russian President Vladimir Putin to end that war.
Because after November, we don't know who is. Only Americans decide who will be the president. But we understand that till November, we can't stop Putin.
And I also have a very good relationship, as you know, with President Putin. And I think if we win, I think we're going to get it resolved very quickly. I really think we're going to get it resolved.
I hope we have more good relations.
We're going to have, I see.
The Ukrainian leader met with both President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris in Washington Thursday. First responders from at least 5 states in the West are helping Hurricane Helene victims. The storm made landfall along the northwest Gulf Coast of Florida last night. At least 44 lives have been lost so far. Catastrophic damage left behind and rescue still underway. Helene's damage stretching far beyond Florida. Rescue crews airlifted dozens of people from rooftops of flooded hospitals in Irwin, Tennessee this afternoon. A Fox weather meteorologist stopped his reporting in Atlanta, Georgia, help a woman that was stranded in a flooded car. And strong winds have trees knocked down in the Carolinas. Now, parts of the hard-hit Cedar Key, Florida, were still recovering from last year's hurricane Idalia when Helene ripped through the city once again. One man surveying damage on the island today was nearly brought to tears.
The scenes we're seeing around the island. Entire houses are missing or flattened in on themselves.
Fox 13 Shira Matsuzawa shows us how some people in the West are helping victims.
You are stepping into another world. You leave the comfort of the Pacific Northwest and you show up, and I remember my glasses instantly fogging up due to the humidity.
Betsy Robertson remembers what it was like being in Florida as a volunteer during a hurricane.
You are overwhelmed by the sense of need and the scale of the damage and the impact of these storms. The amount of water, the number of people, the amount of care that they are going to need. Right now, it may be just in the form of a cot and a hug and some comfort and a warm meal.
As the communications director for the Red Cross Northwest, she says this is what the volunteers helping those impacted by Helene are seeing right now.
It's devastating to go through a disaster and imagine being hit repeatedly by disaster year after year. It starts to wear you down.
Because for many of these communities, they're still recovering from Idalia last year. Humanitarian organization World Vision told Fox 13 it is sending 2 tractor trailers with 48 pallets of relief supplies to its Florida church partners to distribute. Those supplies include blankets, hygiene kits, socks, flood buckets, and coolers. Much needed items, as many of these people are experiencing some of the worst moments of their lives.
We're getting to have one of our best days because somebody else is having their absolute worst day. So keeping that in mind.
Washington Task Force 1 program manager William Palmer says right now they have 1 member helping those impacted by Helene, but the rest of the team is standing by and ready to go.
There are currently 20 out of the 28 task forces that have either been activated or are currently on station. They're holding a few of us in reserve if we have to relieve some other teams.
Those task forces are part of FEMA Urban Search and Rescue and are spread out across the nation.
We're like the NFL of rescue.
Palmer says those teams are helping in water rescues and search efforts. And the last time they were deployed was last year in Maui when the wildfires devastated Lahaina.
And that was Shirab Matsuzawa reporting. A task force team from Colorado is also helping in hurricane-damaged areas. A Red Cross team from Utah is also getting involved. Arizona and California are sending firefighters to Florida to help out. What's left of Helene still dumping rain in parts of Tennessee tonight. A live look at Nashville International Airport. It's wet tarmac where more than 150 flights have been delayed today. You can see the rain pounding away. A much different situation in the west, where people in some areas are facing excessive heat warnings. KTVU meteorologist Mark Tamayo tracking all of this and joins us now with a look ahead at what's in store for our big weekend. Mark?
Hi there, Frank. Yeah, the weekend is almost here as we kind of show you the national perspective. There's Helene making the trek up to the north, and out across the west, there's not a lot to show you with the cloud cover here, but of course the heat is a big time deal here. You can see out in Arizona, you can see temperatures topping over 100 degrees out toward Las Vegas as well. Hot enough that we do have an excessive heat warning in place for all these areas, including Phoenix, until 8 o'clock Tuesday. So this is a long run of temperatures, dangerous heat, 108 to possibly 116 degrees. So that's the dangerous heat we'll be watching over the next several days as we wrap up September and head into October. Right now, here's a satellite showing you some low clouds and fog near portions of the coastline of California, mainly closer to Southern California. But lots of clear skies out toward Phoenix. You'll notice some clouds and some showers out toward Denver this evening. And then up in the Pacific Northwest, we're watching this system approach the coastline, mainly a cloud producer up toward Portland and Seattle. This was the scene today up in Seattle. A beautiful day. Temperatures in the 60s. In San Francisco, definitely temperatures warmed up. 86 degrees in San Francisco with fog-free conditions. And then in the Phoenix area, once again, there is that extreme heat, 113 degrees this afternoon. As we show you the current readings out there, it is 98 degrees in Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, mid-70s, and Portland, Oregon in the upper 60s, reporting 69. Here's the plan for tomorrow. This system will impact temperatures up to the north and even down toward the Bay Area. We're going to cool things off for San Francisco. A warm day in Denver, temperatures in the 80s, and in Southern California, those are readings back up after some fog in the morning, clearing out in the afternoon hours for Los Angeles, and then the heat warning we talked about, that continues in the Phoenix area. So here's a look at the cloud cover and the rainfall. You'll definitely notice the clouds are building up, maybe over portions of New Mexico, out toward Arizona, and the clouds approaching Seattle as well. Some more temperatures for you up toward Olympia, Washington, mid-60s, San Jose in the Bay Area, 83 degrees. Southern California, some 90s for Santa Clarita and Palmdale, and there we go at the triple digits out toward Tucson and in Scottsdale. sale. So here's the forecast over the next 3 days for the weekend and into early next week. As you can see, some 60s for Seattle. San Francisco will definitely warm up into next week for Monday and into Tuesday. Denver, temperatures in the 80s and the 90s. The typical fog in the morning for Los Angeles. Some nice sunshine into the afternoon hours. But take a look at this. The stretch of triple-digit heat will continue for Phoenix into the weekend and into early next week. Frank.
The desert is cooking. Okay,
Yeah.
Mark. Thank you for that. A Santa Barbara County man was charged today in federal court in a bomb attack at a courthouse in Santa Maria. Prosecutors say 20-year-old Nathaniel McGuire was set to be arraigned on weapons charges when he set off the explosives at the court security screening station Wednesday morning. According to court documents, McGuire said he planned to kill deputies with the bomb, then go back to his car to get weapons to kill a judge. Authorities say they found ammunition, a rifle, a suspected bomb, and 10 Molotov cocktails inside his car. Well, coming up, so far bids topping $1 million. Coming up, why the auction underway for one of Shohei Ohtani's home run balls may not lead to a sale. More on that, and we'll break down why some students in Las Vegas will not be getting homework the rest of the year. We'll tell you why when the West Coast Wrap returns. Welcome back. Somebody wants to pay $1,050,000 for a history-making home run ball hit by Dodger Shohei Ohtani. But a lawsuit over who owns that ball right now will keep any potential sale of the ball on hold. A man out of Florida says the ball was stolen from him moments after he secured it during a game last week. The home run was Ohtani's 50th of the season. The ball has since been turned over to a New Jersey-based auction house. Miami-Dade County judge said in an emergency hearing that an evidentiary hearing will be held next month. The order says the auction can begin, though, but the house will not finalize any sale of the ball pending the court's ruling. A $3 billion grant will keep plans to offer people high-speed rail service between Nevada and California on the rails. The Nevada Department of Transportation says it has received a $3 billion federal grant from the Brightline West project. Brightline West is working to build a high-speed line that connects Las Vegas and Los Angeles. It's expected passengers would be able to make that trip in a little more than 2 hours. That's about half the time it takes to travel that distance by car. The goal is to have the trains up and running by the summer of 2028 when LA will host the Olympic Games. Coast Guard's 2-week hearing into the Titan sub disaster wrapping up today with surprise testimony from a former employee of the Washington-based company that built that sub. A Coast Guard veteran who worked at Ocean Gate for 6 months testified that he resigned several years before the deadly implosion. And then when he left, the CEO, Stockton Rush, who was one of the 5 people killed in the implosion, shared an illegal strategy for getting by without a certificate of inspection.
If the Coast Guard became a problem, that he would buy himself a congressman and make it go away.
Mr. McCoy, is that a direct quote?
He said, I would buy a congressman.
There have been 9 days of testimony from numerous witnesses depicting a company that appeared to ignore warning signs before that deadly implosion last June. Investigators have been hoping to learn exactly how it happened, who may be at fault, and how to prevent something similar from happening again. U.S. Forest Service struggling to plant enough saplings to replace trees lost by devastating forest fires. Researchers in Colorado say the U.S. lacks enough seed collection, seedling production, and workers trained to replant trees on a scale that's needed to offset all the losses. They say without intervention, many areas are unlikely to recover on their own. Experts are...
Our goal is to understand how tree species are surviving outside of their current existing range. So if you think about where any given species is on the mountain, we wanted to push that envelope to understand if they are able to go a little bit higher in elevation or perhaps a little bit lower.
The research team is monitoring several species planted after the 2020 Cameron Peak fire that burned 326 square miles in the Rocky Mountains. Well, crypto crime on the rise, and criminals are raising the stakes in a big way. They're targeting victims on unlikely platforms and working on them over a series of months at a time. KTVU's Tom Bakar talking with a Bay Area businesswoman who fell victim.
It's a personal drive for me that I don't want this to happen to others.
Mary, a 60-something intelligent professional, oversees that her employer adheres to all applicable laws, regulations, and policies. Over her life, she amassed a $1.2 million retirement fund, some to pay for her son's college education. But the money is gone.
It's absolutely humiliating, devastating. I cried for a week.
Mary was initially contacted on LinkedIn, Microsoft's business and employment-focused social media platform with more than 1 billion members worldwide. Last March, Kenneth communicated with Mary. His professional LinkedIn post claims he's a Google artificial intelligence and machine learning engineer.
Kind of like if you're looking at profile of professionalism on LinkedIn.
He said he wanted to discuss artificial intelligence in the context of her industry.
He's technical, he's very technically savvy.
Over several months, they built trust, discussing common interests such as cooking and other activities. They even FaceTimed and WhatsApped. Kenneth even sent a copy of his Seattle driver's license. Eventually, he brought up his side business, cryptocurrency.
I did have trepidation, but I thought, well, in the industry, crypto does exist. There's a lot of apps, people do it, they channel funds.
He convinced Mary to try it by investing $1,000 into a platform called xexbit.com. Almost instantly, she got $1,340 back.
He actually put money in your bank account.
Correct, yes.
More transfers eventually exhausted the retirement fund, with Kenneth claiming he was co-investing with her. She says he even tried to get her to participate in what appeared to be a multi-level crypto Ponzi scheme to attract more investors, but she declined. She was told that she had amassed $9 million in profit, but to retrieve it, she would have to put in yet another 10% into her account, money she did not have.
That didn't happen. And they also put a deadline that it would be due September 7th.
Kenneth took down his LinkedIn post and was gone with all her money. She's in contact with local police, the FBI, and the IRS. But with her nest egg gone, she's now rethinking the rest of her life.
I was hesitant, and still, I fell for it.
Users who fall for carefully crafted crypto scams often bear ill will to LinkedIn, believing that they were dealing with legitimate organizations and professionals. Aware of that, LinkedIn told CNBC that increased fraud last year caused it to remove 32 million bogus, fake, and fraudulent accounts. Nonetheless, the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Cybercrime Unit says social media needs to do a far better job of ridding their sites of scammers.
Estimates last year are that $50 billion was scammed from everyday Americans by transnational organized crime. It's not right when we've got a $50 billion problem to say, well, it's the victims who are the problem. Actually, the problem is the sophisticated scammers who know who to target, how to target them, and how to talk with them in order to take everything.
We have yet to hear back from LinkedIn. Tom Vakar, KTVU Fox 2 News.
Tonight, Sean Diddy Combs facing new sexual assault allegations after a woman filed a new lawsuit in New York today. She says she was repeatedly raped and drugged while at the music mogul's home, became pregnant after one of their encounters. It's the very latest of several similar lawsuits by women against Combs, who was arrested last week on a federal sex trafficking indictment. For more, we spoke to TMZ about a new documentary. Combs' lawyer says the feds are targeting Combs because of the color of his skin.
The way they view this is just a case of the government going after a very successful black man, that someone who, they want to take down. The way he put it, he said they checked his taxes. He pays all his taxes. They couldn't get him on that. They couldn't get him on anything that he was doing, with his businesses. And instead, they decided to look at his bedroom.
That woman is seeking an undisclosed amount of damages. So far, a lawyer for Combs has not responded. Coming up, no homework. It sounds like a dream for some students, but the policy has some parents very upset in Las Vegas. Coming up, why the school says no homework is necessary. And California lawmakers shake up strategy, see what they're doing to fight a business downturn when we come back. Some second graders in Las Vegas may not need to do homework for the rest of the year. How about that? Parents at Barber Elementary School say they received a message from their kids' school saying, in part, in order to cut costs on paper and toner, second graders will not be getting homework packets for the rest of the year. One parent says she's surprised the Clark County School District would allow this.
This is pretty extreme. I mean, if the kids cannot have 3 pages of printed homework a week, what next? Like, what's going to be cut and taken away from the students next? Homework packets also hold parents accountable in a way. You know, we sign off that we help them, that we assisted, that we check their work. And I don't know, I think that kids need that accountability, especially at 7 and 8 years old.
School district leaders say they're leaving it up to each school to manage its budget. In California, winemakers are struggling with a drop in demand. Fox's Max Gordon shows us how some of the businesses are trying to adapt.
Well, we're currently in the midst of California's wine grape harvest that runs from mid-August to mid-October. Right now, we're seeing massive bins of grapes, about 6 tons each, being unloaded here at Bogle Winery. They're then destemmed and crushed as the winemaking process gets underway. Bogle is one of the top wine producers in the country, this year on track to make about 2.5 million cases of wine. But globally, wine consumption is down about 9%, according to numbers from the wine industry analytics company Gomberg Fredrickson. There's been a new focus on drinking less alcohol. Baby boomers are buying less wine, and younger generations don't seem to be interested either. And that's having a big impact on both wineries and wine grape growers here in California. There's an oversupply of wine on the market, and the price of wine grapes has been crashing this season. Wine industry experts say that already between 30 to 50,000 acres of vineyards have been ripped out in California. This has led some wineries to innovate. Non-alcoholic wine is growing in popularity, and at Bogle, they're trying out new, more eco-friendly aluminum bottles that require less energy to ship and that appeal to younger consumers.
You're seeing multiple reasons why there's been a downturn in the industry, and you know, as a family wine grower and winemaker, it's our job to figure out who's drinking wine, who's not drinking wine, how we can bring them in to this industry that is just so fantastic.
A few bad years won't knock out large wineries like Bogle here, but really the concern is that if this trend continues, smaller wineries could go out of business. In Clarksburg, California, Max Gordon, Fox Business.
Finally tonight, a California native is making history again by becoming the first individual woman athlete to receive the Congressional Gold Medal. Yesterday, President Joe Biden signed a bill to award the medal to tennis icon Billie Jean King. The bill calls for awarding the medal in recognition of a remarkable life devoted to champion equal rights for all in sports and in our society. King is a 39-time Grand Slam champion in singles and doubles and mixed doubles. She helped form the Women's Tennis Association and advocated for equal pay in women and men's tennis. 80-year-old King was born in Long Beach, California. Want to thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you again on Monday night.